Abandoned Sentinel. The emergency beacon pulsed weakly through the endless void, each flash dimmer than the last. High Commander Nixera Vrel of the Meridian Collective drifted in her command chair, watching life support indicators creep steadily toward zero. Her vessel, once the pride of the Meridian Research Fleet, now tumbled helplessly among the stars, little more than expensive debris. 5 cycles had passed since the attack. 5 cycles of solitude, of watching systems fail one by one while preserving what little power remained. 5 cycles since her crew of 23 brilliant minds had been reduced to frozen corpses in the ruptured sections of the ship. Nixera's luminescent skin, normally a vibrant azure that shifted to emerald with her emotions, had dulled to a pale, sickly blue. The translucent membranes covering her 3 eyes had grown cloudy from dehydration. Each breath came with greater difficulty as the recyclers struggled to maintain oxygen levels. "Status report," she commanded weakly, her melodic voice echoing in the empty bridge. "Life support at 17% capacity," responded the ship's AI, its voice fragmented and distorted. "Main power reserves depleted. Auxiliary power at 12%. Estimated time until complete system failure, 26 standard hours." 26 hours. Nixera's slender fingers traced the ceremonial scars along her forearm, marks of achievement and rank in the collective's meritocratic hierarchy. Soon, those accomplishments would mean nothing. She would be just another casualty in the vast expansion of Meridian knowledge, another sacrifice to their insatiable curiosity. The attack had come without warning. One moment, her research vessel, the Astral Seeker, had been mapping the unusual radiation patterns in this uncharted sector. The next, energy weapons of unknown configuration had torn through their defenses like solar wind through a magnetic field. What made it worse was that they'd never even seen their attackers. Sensors had detected nothing before impact. No ships, no energy signatures, nothing but empty space that suddenly erupted with destructive force. Nixera had ordered evasive maneuvers, but their assailants had anticipated every move. It was as if they knew Meridian tactical protocols better than the Meridians themselves. When the primary engines were crippled, she'd ordered an emergency jump, only to find the hyperspace generators had been precisely targeted as well. The attack had ended as suddenly as it began. Their mysterious enemy disappeared, leaving the Astral Seeker bleeding atmosphere and power into the void. Emergency bulkheads had sealed automatically, saving the bridge but trapping the rest of her crew in sections that rapidly depressurized. Nixera had spent the first cycle frantically trying to save anyone she could reach. By the second cycle, she'd accepted that she was the sole survivor. By the third, she'd sent a detailed account of the attack through the quantum relay, though she doubted the signal had strength to reach any Meridian outpost. Now, she merely waited for the inevitable. The Meridian Collective span hundreds of star systems, their technological prowess unrivaled in known space. They were the shepherds of a dozen fledgling species, the peacekeepers of their galactic arm. Their biology, evolved under the light of twin suns, had granted them extraordinary lifespans and cognitive abilities that had propelled their civilization to heights unimaginable to most species. Yet here she was, dying alone in the silent dark, all that advancement rendered meaningless by an enemy that struck from shadows. Nixera roused herself from her despondent thoughts. A Meridian High Commander did not surrender to despair, even in death. She would document everything until the end, leaving a record for whoever might discover her vessel in the centuries to come. She activated her personal recorder, the crystalline device embedded in her wrist gauntlet. Final log entry: High Commander Nixera Vrel. The oxygen recyclers have begun to fail. Primary life support will cease within the day. I have deactivated all unnecessary systems to conserve what little power remains for the distress beacon, though I harbor no illusions about rescue. We ventured too far beyond Meridian territory. I only hope that. A discordant tone interrupted her recording. Nixera's head jerked up, her middle eye widening in disbelief. Incoming transmission, announced the ship's damaged AI. Unknown origin. Non-Meridian configuration. Impossible. This sector was unexplored, far from any civilization's regular transit routes. After 5 cycles, the appearance of any ship defied statistical probability. Source identification, she demanded, straightening in her chair despite the weakness in her limbs. Processing. Signal carries markers consistent with. The AI paused, its fragmented programming struggling to process the data. Earth Coalition protocols, Commander. Humans. Nixera's skin rippled with colors of surprise and suspicion, shifting momentarily to a deep purple. Humans were among the youngest spacefaring species the Meridians had encountered. Their civilization was barely 2 centuries into faster-than-light travel, their technology clumsy and inefficient by collective standards. The Meridian xenobiologists classified them as a level 4 species, showing promise but centuries from true relevance. What were humans doing this far into uncharted space? Their ships lacked the range and sophistication for such distant exploration. More importantly, why were they here now, just as her life was about to end? Open communication channel, she ordered, suspicion warring with desperate hope. The view screen before her flickered erratically before stabilizing on an image that confirmed her Ari's assessment. A human face stared back at her, a male with weathered features, dark skin, and close-cropped silver hair. His uniform was unfamiliar, not matching the Earth Coalition military patterns in Meridian databases. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Darius Powell of the Earth Coalition Deep Range Explorer Horizon Breaker. We've detected your distress signal. Do you require assistance? The translator implanted at the base of Nixera's skull worked to decode the human language, though she had studied their primary dialects during her xenopolitical training. She activated the external camera, allowing the human to see her. This is High Commander Nixera Vrel of the Meridian collective vessel Astral Seeker, she replied, her voice carrying the formal tones of her rank despite her weakened condition. My ship was attacked by unknown forces. All systems are critical. I am the only survivor. She paused, the words she needed to say next feeling like thorns in her throat. Meridians provided assistance, they did not require it. For thousands of years, this had been the way of things. Yet pride would not preserve her knowledge of the attack. I require immediate extraction, she finally added, her skin briefly flashing amber with embarrassment. The human captain showed no surprise at her appearance, merely nodding with professional efficiency. Understood, Commander Vrel. We have your position. Our ETA is approximately 20 minutes. Prepare for emergency docking procedures. 20 minutes. Nixera glanced at the life support readings again. It would be close, but she might survive. Acknowledged, Captain Powell. I will make necessary preparations. As the communication ended, Nixera forced her weakened body into motion. She gathered critical data cores and her personal effects, sealing them in a containment case. Whatever happened next, the record of what occurred here would not be lost. While she worked, questions multiplied in her mind. The coincidence of a human vessel appearing exactly when needed strained credulity. Had they been tracking the Astral Seeker? Monitoring Meridian movements in this sector? Or were they perhaps investigating the same anomalous readings that had brought her research team to this region? The Horizon Breaker appeared on sensors precisely when promised. Nixera studied the readings with professional curiosity despite her dire situation. The human vessel defied Meridian intelligence assessments of Earth technology. Where Meridian ships were elegant crystalline structures that channeled cosmic energies, this human craft appeared to be a hodgepodge of various technologies, some recognized, others completely foreign. Most surprising was its size. The vessel was massive, at least 3 times larger than any documented Earth Coalition ship. Its hull configuration suggested modular construction, with sections that appeared to be of entirely different design philosophies somehow integrated into a functional whole. Preparing for docking procedure, came Captain Powell's voice. Our telemetry indicates your airlock on Deck 3 remains intact. We're matching rotation and approach vector now. Confirmed, Nixera replied, gathering her strength to make her way to the specified location. The ship's gravity generators had failed days ago, and her muscles had begun to atrophy in the zero-G environment. Each movement came with effort as she pushed herself through the corridors of her dying vessel. She reached the airlock just as the docking clamps engaged, the sound of metal on metal reverberating through their hull. The indicator lights shifted from red to green as pressure equalized between the vessels. The unlikely allies. Nixera awoke to unfamiliar sensations. The surface beneath her was softer than meridian furnishings, designed for comfort rather than optimal posture. The air carried strange scents, metallic undertones mixed with organic compounds her olfactory sensors couldn't immediately identify. Most disorienting was the sound, a persistent hum of machinery that lacked the crystalline harmonics of meridian technology. Her three eyes opened in sequence, first the central primary, then the two laterals, adjusting to the dimmed lighting of what appeared to be a medical bay. Her skin, normally translucent enough to reveal the network of luminous veins beneath, had regained some of its healthy azure glow. Someone had attached monitoring devices to her arms and chest, their design crude but apparently functional. "Welcome back, Commander," said a calm voice to her right. Nixera turned to see the human doctor, Takenaka, studying readings on a display screen. The medical officer's movements were precise, methodical in a way that reminded her of meridian physicians. "How long?" Nixera asked, her translator implant converting her melodic language into the harsher syllables of human standard. 36 hours, Takenaka replied. "You were severely dehydrated and suffering from radiation exposure. We've administered fluids, nutrients, and cellular regeneration therapy." He gestured to an infusion device connected to her arm. "This is helping repair the radiation damage to your cellular structure." Nixera's middle eye narrowed. "Your medical technology is more advanced than our intelligence suggested." Dr. Takenaka's expression remained neutral. "Humans adapt quickly. Necessity drives innovation." He made a final adjustment to the monitoring equipment. "Captain Powell would like to speak with you once you feel able. I'll inform him you're awake." Before she could respond, he had stepped away, leaving Nixera to examine her surroundings more thoroughly. The medical bay was larger than she expected, with equipment that appeared to be designed for various physiologies, not just human. Most intriguing were sections that contained technology she recognized as non-human in origin. Some components resembled Zithrian medical devices, others bore the distinct configurations of Turelian engineering. How had humans acquired such diverse technology? The Meridian Collective carefully regulated technological exchange with younger species, preventing them from advancing too quickly for their cultural development. Yet here was evidence that humans had somehow bypassed those restrictions. The door slid open, admitting Captain Powell and Commander Okafor. The captain carried himself with the confident bearing of one accustomed to authority, yet lacking the ceremonial rigidity of Meridian command officers. "Hi, Commander," Powell greeted her with a respectful nod. "I'm pleased to see you recovering. Dr. Takenaka says you're responding well to treatment." Nixera straightened, adjusting her position to one more befitting her rank despite her weakened state. "Your medical intervention is appreciated, Captain. I owe you a debt of gratitude for my rescue." Powell waved away the formality. "No debt necessary. Anyone would have done the same." "I find that assertion questionable," Nixera replied. "The statistical improbability of your vessel's presence in that remote sector at precisely the moment my life support was failing suggests more than coincidence." Powell exchanged a glance with his first officer. Commander Okafor stepped forward, her posture shifting subtly to what Nixera recognized as a defensive stance. "You're right," Okafor said bluntly. "We were looking for you, or more precisely, for evidence of what attacked you." Nixera's skin rippled with colors of alarm, shifting momentarily to a warning orange. "Explain." Captain Powell pulled up a chair, sitting at eye level with Nixera, a gesture she recognized as an attempt at establishing equality rather than dominance. 3 months ago, we lost contact with an Earth Coalition outpost in Sector 87. When our ships arrived, they found nothing, no debris, no bodies, just empty space where a station with 500 people should have been. His expression darkened. 2 weeks later, the same thing happened to a research vessel in Sector 92. Then a mining colony in Sector 79. Nixera processed this information rapidly. These sectors form a pattern moving toward Meridian space. "Yes," Powell confirmed. "And in each case, we detected a unique energy signature just before communications were lost." The Horizon Breaker was specifically commissioned to track this signature. You built this vessel to hunt the attackers, Nixera concluded, her central eye widening as the implications became clear. That explains its unusual configuration and size. Okafor nodded. The Horizon Breaker is a prototype, our response to a threat conventional vessels couldn't handle. We've incorporated technologies from various sources, some acquired through unofficial channels. Nixera's skin shifted to a deeper blue of suspicion. Stolen technology, you mean? Salvaged, Powell corrected without apology. When your civilization classified humans as at level for species and denied us access to defensive technologies that might have saved those lives, we adapted. How do you know of that classification? Nixera demanded, genuinely startled. The collective's assessment protocols were supposed to be internal information only. Powell smiled thinly. We've learned to listen carefully when older species think we aren't paying attention. Humanity has been underestimated throughout our history, Commander. It's often worked to our advantage. Nixera felt a new respect reluctantly forming for these humans. They had accomplished far more than the collective had believed possible, including apparently infiltrating Meridian information networks. The implications were disturbing but also fascinating. 5 days ago, Powell continued, we detected that same energy signature in this sector. By the time we arrived, the attack was over, but your distress beacon was still active. We hoped you might have survived to tell us what you saw. Nixera's fingers tapped a rhythmic pattern against her leg, a meridian gesture indicating deep thought. I saw nothing. That was what made the attack so disorienting. Our sensors detected no ships, no weapon signatures, nothing but empty space. Then our defenses simply failed. Same pattern as our losses, Okafor confirmed. It's as if their weapons pass through conventional shielding without resistance. May I see your vessel's sensor logs? Nixera asked. Perhaps comparing them with my own records will reveal something neither of us noticed individually. Powell seemed to weigh the request, then nodded. Commander Okafor will provide you access once Dr. Takenaka clears you to leave medical. But first, I'd like to know why the Meridian Collective sent a research vessel into this region. What were you investigating, Commander? It was Nixera's turn to consider how much to reveal. Meridian protocols were clear about information sharing with level for species. Yet these humans had saved her life and were clearly more advanced, and more aware, than the collective had assessed. We detected anomalous energy readings consistent with ancient beacon technology, she finally explained. The Meridian Collective has existed for over 20,000 of your years, Captain. In that time, we've encountered evidence of civilizations that predated even our own. Most left nothing but ruins, but some created technologies that continue functioning millennia after their extinction. And you think one of these ancient technologies is responsible for the attacks? Powell asked. It is one possibility we were investigating, Nixera admitted. Though we had no expectation of hostility. Most ancient beacons we've discovered were warning systems or repositories of knowledge. Dr. Takenaka returned, carrying a datapad. Captain, I've completed analysis of the commander's physiological readings. Her cellular structure shows evidence of quantum displacement. Meaning? Okafor prompted. Something tried to phase her out of normal space-time, the doctor explained. Her naturally crystalline cellular matrix appears to have resisted the process, but only partially. If she were human, I believe she would have simply disappeared, like our missing people. Nixera's skin paled to an ashen blue as the implications became clear. A phase shift weapon. That would explain why we detected nothing. The attackers weren't invisible, they were operating in a different phase of reality. Is that even possible? Powell asked, his expression grave. Theoretically, Nixera confirmed. The collective has experimented with phase technology for scientific purposes, but weaponizing it would violate our fundamental principles. The energy requirements alone would be. She trailed off, a new thought forming. The ancient beacon. If it was designed as a phase variance trigger rather than a communication device, activating it might have awakened automated defense systems. Powell stood abruptly. We need to get to the bridge. If you're well enough to move, Commander, I'd like you to see something. Dr. Takenaka hesitated. She should rest another. I am sufficiently recovered, Nixera interrupted, disconnecting the monitoring devices with practiced efficiency. Her body protested as she stood, but she refused to show weakness. Lead the way, Captain. The corridors of the Horizon Breaker revealed more about its unique nature. Unlike the sterile, mathematically precise design of Meridian vessels, this ship displayed a chaotic functionality. Conduits ran exposed along ceilings, junction boxes were accessible rather than hidden, and repair patches were visible on bulkheads. Most fascinating were the crew they passed, a diverse collection of humans representing various Earth subcultures, working with an organized efficiency that belied the ship's cobbled-together appearance. Several crew members wore augmentations that should have been beyond human technological capability, neural interfaces, biomechanical limb enhancements, and sensory amplifiers that Nixera recognized from species the Meridians considered for more advanced than humanity. Your crew, she observed quietly to Powell as they walked. They have adopted technologies from multiple species. We call them the amalgamated, Powell explained. People who've chosen to integrate technologies that official Earth policy doesn't recognize. Most were fringe scientists, engineers who pushed boundaries too far for conventional acceptance. Outcasts, Nixera translated. Powell smiled. Pioneers. The Horizon Breaker is as much their creation as it is the Coalition's. When conventional approaches failed against our unknown enemy, we turned to unconventional minds. The bridge, when they reached it, reinforced this philosophy. Where Meridian command centers were elegant spaces designed around holographic interfaces and neural linkages, this bridge was a hybrid of technologies, some recognizably human, others clearly adapted from various alien sources. Workstations were crowded with equipment, and the central command area featured a three-dimensional tactical display Nixera recognized as derived from Zithrian military technology. A young human female with extensive neural augmentations visible at her temples looked up from this display as they entered. Captain, we've completed analysis of the Meridian vessel's quantum wake. The signature matches our previous encounters, 97% correlation. Thank you, Lieutenant Faruqi, Powell replied, then gestured Nixera forward. Commander, this is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Jasmine Faruqi. She's been tracking the phase signatures across multiple sectors. Nixera approached the display, immediately recognizing the mathematical patterns despite the human interface. This confirms my theory. These are quantum phase variances consistent with dimensional shifting. We've plotted all known attack locations, Faruqi explained, manipulating the display to show a three-dimensional star map. Red markers indicated attack sites, forming a clear pattern. They are following a spiral pattern, moving inward toward this coordinates. The lieutenant highlighted a location near the center of the display. Nixera's skin shifted to pale green, a sign of recognition. That is the NYX-Varder Nebula, she said quietly. According to our most ancient records, it was the birthplace of the precursors, a civilization that existed 1 million years before the Meridian Collective formed. Powell's expression grew serious. Do your records say what happened to them? They vanished, Nixera replied. Many Meridian scholars believe they ascended to a higher plane of existence. Others theorize they destroyed themselves in some cataclysmic event. All that remains are fragments of their technology scattered throughout this galactic arm. And now something's awakening that technology, Okafor concluded. Moving systematically toward its point of origin. Nixera studied the human faces around her, seeing determination rather than fear. Their species was young, by Meridian standards barely more than children playing with forces they couldn't possibly comprehend. Yet they had pieced together the same pattern her own people had missed, and created a vessel specifically designed to confront it. We're headed for the nebula, Powell stated, not phrasing it as a question. The pattern suggests the next attack will occur in Sector 63, at these coordinates. He indicated a location on the display. We can be there in 20 hours at maximum speed. Nixera felt conflicting imperatives. Meridian protocol dictated she should return to collective space immediately to report what she had learned. The knowledge she carried could be vital to preparing defenses against this unknown threat. But the humans were proceeding directly toward danger, potentially revealing crucial information about the attackers. I will accompany you, she decided, her skin shifting to a resolute deep blue. My expertise regarding precursor technology may prove valuable. Powell studied her for a moment, then nodded. Welcome to the team, Commander Vrel. He turned to his crew. Set course for Sector 63. All departments on alert status. We're hunting. As the bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency to execute the orders, Nixera found herself reassessing everything the collective thought they knew about humans. These were not the primitive, disorganized beings described in Meridian databases. They were adaptable, resourceful, and possessed a determination that bordered on recklessness. Most concerning of all, they had managed to acquire and integrate technologies the collective had deliberately withheld from them, suggesting either remarkable ingenuity or a disturbing ability to circumvent Meridian security protocols. For the first time in her long career, High Commander Nixera Vrel faced a profound uncertainty. She had always believed the Meridian Collective represented the pinnacle of civilized development in this galactic arm. Their role as shepherds of younger species was based on superior knowledge, technology, and ethical development. Yet here she was, dependent on a species they had classified as primitive, aboard a vessel that shouldn't exist according to their understanding of human capabilities, hunting an enemy that had effortlessly destroyed her own advanced ship. Perhaps the collective's assessment of humanity required revision. And perhaps, Nixera acknowledged as she watched the determined efficiency of the human crew, that reassessment was long overdue. As the horizon breaker accelerated toward the coordinates where they expected to encounter the mysterious attackers, Nixera made a silent vow. When, if, she returned to Meridian space, she would advocate for a fundamental reconsideration of the collective's approach to humanity. Assuming, of course, that any of them survived what lay ahead.